What would you do if the cure for a fatal disease for the person you love most wasn't actually a cure, but a pact with an ancestral curse? Imagine the most important person in your life being saved from death, but at the cost of becoming an empty shell, a ghost trapped in their own body. This is the dilemma Ethan Carter faces when his father, on the brink of death, receives a poisoned gift, a rose gold pocket watch that halts the disease but steals the soul. This is not just an antique object, it is a prison. And the man who brought it, Great-Uncle Silas, is not what he seems. He is the very incarnation of the family Parasite, a being who rejuvenates itself by sucking the energy and vitality from its victims. But the curse didn't stop with Ethan's father. It spread. And when Ethan's best friend, Lucas, is turned into a living statue and dragged into the darkness of the forest, Ethan discovers the terrible truth. His grandfather is not just a victim, he is a shield. He sacrificed himself to protect his son, becoming the battery that prevents Silas from coming after Ethan. Now, Ethan holds the only weapon capable of breaking this chain of horror, a secret diary that reveals the secret to purifying the watch. But there is a price so high that few would have the courage to pay. Purifying the watch will save Lucas and destroy Silas, but it will instantly kill his father, who is alive only by the power of the curse. The final choice is this: sacrifice the man who raised him to save his friend and end the nightmare, or live forever under the shadow of an immortal parasite. Ethan's decision will shock you. His journey to break the curse and the emotional finale are up next. You won't want to stop watching. The Curse of the Pocket Watch. Ethan Carter was 17, and his world was an endless sequence of hospital corridors. His father, Robert, a history teacher with a gift for bringing dead pharaohs and presidents to life, was dying. The lung cancer had advanced beyond hope, and Robert's days were now measured in doses of morphine and silent promises. The house, a red brick colonial in Vermont, was heavy with stagnant sadness. It was in this atmosphere of postponed mourning that he arrived. Great-Uncle Silas. Robert could barely speak, but the news of Silas's arrival had cheered him. "He is the last bridge to our past, Ethan," Robert whispered, his voice rasping. Silas didn't look like anyone Ethan knew. He was tall, thin, and pale, with an anachronistic elegance that smelled of mothballs and old wood. His clothes seemed to have come out of a 1920s photograph. "My dear Robert," Silas said. His voice was deep and had the dry rattle of autumn leaves. "You will not be joining your ancestors so soon." Silas was the family healer, the bearer of ancestral knowledge. He settled into the third-floor guest room, which he immediately transformed into a sealed sanctuary, full of candles, leather-bound books, and a heavy smell of iron and burnt incense. That night, Silas handed Robert a polished mahogany box. Inside, on a faded velvet lining, rested an antique pocket watch. It was a rose gold Elgin, heavy and beautifully engraved with the Carter family crest, a cracked oak tree. "Wear it always," Silas instructed with a dry smile. "It is the inheritance. It is the bond. As long as it is with you, life will flow." Robert, desperate, placed the watch in his pajama pocket. The cold, smooth weight was a promise against death. In the following days, something unbelievable happened. Robert stopped coughing. He stopped feeling pain. His skin regained a healthy tone. But the improvement was frightening. His personality faded. He would sit in his favorite armchair, the pocket watch in his hand, his eyes open and fixed, but empty. He responded with monosyllables, and his movements were slow and calculated, almost robotic. Ethan's father was not cured. He was a static replica, a porcelain doll dressed in Robert Carter's skin. Soon after, Halloween arrived. The smell of pumpkin and cinnamon hung in the school air. As Ethan was getting ready, he passed by Silas's room. The door was ajar. Ethan stopped, feeling a chill. Silas, who on arrival seemed to be in his early 70s, now looked 40. His hair was darker, his skin taut. He was in front of a rudimentary fireplace, performing a murmured ritual over a small altar. "Come in, my dear Ethan." Silas invited, without turning. There was a newly acquired arrogance in his voice. "How did my father get better?" Ethan asked, swallowing dryly. Silas smiled, a cold, predatory movement. "He is giving me a gift. Something a man like me needs to continue the legacy." He held out his hand. In it was a handful of handmade pecan candies, wrapped in gold paper. "It's Halloween. Take them to your friend Lucas. A gift from Great-Uncle Silas." Ethan felt an icy dread. He didn't want to touch the candies, but Silas's gaze was an absolute order. "I don't want you to touch my family, Ethan. Obedience ensures Robert remains healthy." At school, the party was vibrant. Ethan couldn't take his eyes off Lucas, his energetic, red-haired friend. "Hey man, a gift from my great-uncle. He has weird taste, but he makes amazing candies," Ethan lied, feeling nauseous as he handed them over. Lucas ate one with enthusiasm. Time passed. That night, during the talent show, the effect manifested. Lucas was on stage about to play guitar. Suddenly his eyes became bloodshot. He stopped moving, his smile frozen, his hand suspended over the strings. He was a statue. In a frightening trance state, Lucas got off the stage and fled into the darkness of the nearby forest. Lucas did not return. Panic swept through the school and the town. The police began the search. That night, back home, Ethan confronted Silas, who now looked like a 30-year-old man. "What did you do to Lucas?" "The same thing I did to your father, but on a smaller scale," Silas said, polishing Robert's pocket watch. "The watch creates the blood bond and transfers it to me. I am the last of the lineage, but I don't have the energy of youth to sustain it. I am the parasite. It keeps me alive, and I keep my secret." "You're stealing his life." "I am our legacy, Ethan," Silas hissed. "I am your great-uncle, centuries old. And if you don't be quiet, I will turn you into the next power battery." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sneaked through the house, terrified, to Robert's room. His father was there, sitting. Ethan saw a tear slowly roll down Robert's motionless face. He's still in there. He's conscious of everything. Ethan knew he had only one weapon: knowledge. He needed to understand how Great-Uncle Silas sustained himself and the curse. He went back to Silas's room, rummaging through ancient books by the light of his cell phone. In a hidden closet behind yellowed silk clothes, he found it: the Carter lineage diary. The diary told the story of Silas who, in the 17th century, in search of alchemical immortality, had cursed himself. He was the legacy parasite, forced to be reborn in a young form every 100 years, draining the life from the bearer of the family pocket watch. The most terrifying part was Robert's entry, written weeks before Silas arrived. "Silas sent me a letter. He knows I'm dying. He offered the curse as a cure. I accepted. The watch's energy will keep me alive long enough to protect Ethan, so Silas doesn't find him first. He needs the younger, stronger bearer. If I am the host, Ethan will be safe for now. But the watch cannot be broken. It can only be purified. If the purification fails, we both die. If it works, I die, but naturally, and he loses his power. It is the only choice I have left to save my son." Robert had sacrificed himself, accepting the catatonia and the role of battery to protect Ethan from the curse. The curse could only be undone if the watch was submerged in a place of uncontested spiritual power. The water from the baptismal font of St. Jude's Church, where the Carter lineage had been baptized for generations. Ethan now understood the dilemma. Destroying Silas and saving Lucas meant Robert's final sacrifice. His father had given him life twice. The sun had barely risen when Ethan threw a coat over his pajamas. He went downstairs. Silas was in the living room, his features perfectly sculpted into those of a 25-year-old man, polishing Robert's pocket watch. "Where do you think you're going, Ethan?" Silas's voice was now strong and resonant. "I'm going to give you the lineage, Silas," Ethan said, his voice firm. "The purest soul." Silas chuckled, confident. "Good boy. Fear works wonders." They left together. Silas drove the family car while Ethan guided him. But instead of going to the forest, Ethan had him stop at the small St. Jude's Church, a dark stone chapel from the 18th century. "What is this? Where is your friend?" Silas demanded, annoyed. "I am the heir, great-uncle." "And I am the last one," said Ethan, looking at the church. "The transfer ritual must be done where the lineage began." Silas hesitated, but ambition spoke louder. The chance to absorb a young, pure soul in a place with strong historical energy was tempting. "Very well, follow me." They entered the silent, cold chapel. The baptismal font, a carved marble bowl, stood near the door. Silas placed the watch in Robert's hand, who was sitting in a wheelchair, his expression vacant. Silas prepared for the enchantment. "Now, Robert, you hand it over." Robert raised the watch and extended his hand towards Ethan. "I accept, Father," Ethan said. At the exact moment the watch touched his hand, Ethan acted. He knew the spell was activated. The energy was flowing. With a quick movement, Ethan ran to the baptismal font, plunging the pocket watch into the holy, ice-cold water. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The font's water began to hiss and bubble, releasing thick, white smoke. The watch, as it was purified, vibrated and glowed intensely before shutting down forever. Silas let out an agonizing scream that seemed to come from centuries of suffering and hatred. His body began to age at an accelerated rate, his skin withering, his hair turning white and then falling out. In seconds, the handsome man in his 20s became a dry, wrinkled mummy. With a final sigh, Great-Uncle Silas crumbled into a pile of dust and old clothes on the church floor. Outside in the bushes, Lucas stumbled out of the darkness, dizzy and confused, but safe and sound. Ethan ran back to his father. The catatonia was gone. Robert was hunched over, breathing with difficulty, his forehead sweaty, but his eyes were clear. "Ethan," he whispered, and the voice was that of the history teacher Ethan loved, full of love and pain. "You made the right choice, son. I am free. We are free." Ethan held his father's hand, feeling its warmth and touch for the first time in weeks. "I love you, Dad," Ethan said, tears streaming down his face. Robert Carter smiled, a genuine, peaceful smile. "I love you too, my boy." And so, Robert passed away, the final sacrifice of the Carter lineage, ending the cycle of the curse. Ethan had lost his father, but had saved his legacy and his soul. He walked out of the church into the morning sun, holding the inert, cold pocket watch, the only reminder of the price of freedom. And so, the centuries-old curse was broken. The price for freedom was the life of a father who had already sacrificed himself twice, once to bring his son into the world, and once to protect him from a fate worse than death. But this story is more than just a simple tale of terror. It makes us question, what would we be willing to sacrifice for those we love? How far would we go to protect our own soul? If you've made it this far, it's because stories that explore the boundaries between love and horror, sacrifice and salvation, captivate you. And I have news for you. This was just the first layer. The channel is full of journeys like this, where the past doesn't stay quiet in its grave and innocent objects hold dark secrets. I click on the videos appearing on the screen now and dive into universes where every choice has an eternal echo. To not miss any of these enigmas, join our community. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. This way you'll get immediate access to all the new content we create for you. Now, I want to hear your voice. Share this video with someone who loves a good mystery and leave a comment below answering, if you found the Carter family pocket watch, what would you do? Would you accept the pact to save someone? Or would you, like Ethan, risk everything to break the curse? Your suggestions and ideas are the fuel for our next stories. Tell us in the comments what other themes, mysteries, or cursed objects you would like to see in future videos. A big hug and see you on the next journey into the shadows.